Hello, my name is Dr. Rob Kiltz, and I am here and proud to announce the release of my first ever 30-day carnivore transformation course. Over the past several months, my team and I have worked to put together a 30-day course for beginners and experienced carnivores alike. The course contains informative articles, recipes, sample meal plans, carnivore snack ideas, and so much more. The course will guide you every step of the way on your carnivore journey. We've included built-in daily lessons to keep you inspired and accountable as you eliminate plant-based foods and embrace a diet of high-quality meats, eggs, and other animal products. Don't wait any longer to start your transformation. Sign up for my 30 Days to Carnivore Transformation course now and eat like a lion and transform your life forever. So Brandon, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're at, and how you got in this crazy carnivore world?
Yeah, so it started with a shift in my mindset and my mentality. So in around 2020, my idol, Kobe Bryant, he passed away. And at the time, I was very heavy. I was obese. I was pre-diabetic. I was 260 pounds. And that's about 100 pounds heavier than I am now, or maybe 90 pounds, because I put on some muscle since. But that was around 3 years ago, 2020. And I started working out and starting my health journey the day after he passed away. So that was January 27th. And until those next 8 months went by, I ended up losing 100 pounds. And, I did it the wrong way. Unfortunately, I lost the weight. I looked different. I looked way better, but I did it the wrong way. So we can go over what I did wrong and how I've kind of stumbled into keto carnivore. But, I did OMAD before I knew what OMAD was. And I'm thinking about doing OMAD now, but it's with a different kind of food. So when I did OMAD, when I lost the weight, I was basically caloric restricting myself, starving myself, eating whatever I wanted. And when you eat whatever you want and you do OMAD, it's pretty difficult. The mental aspect is pretty hard. So I was feeling horrible. I was very tired. I was always taking naps. I had no energy. I just didn't function very well. And I would also run 9 or 10 miles every single day the entire summer when I was losing that weight, because all I knew as a kid was looking it up, calories in, calories out. That's all I see looking it up. I don't see anything about carnivore, anything about keto, all that other stuff. So I lost the weight. It took me 8 months, and everyone's like, wow, you look amazing. And I told them straight up, I'm like, I never felt worse in my life. Like, I felt better when I was fat. I felt so much better. At least I was eating until I was full. And I've always had problems with IBS. I didn't know it was really related to diet at all. That was always my second biggest problem. The first was always my weight. I figured it out. I lost all my muscle because I wasn't eating enough animal protein during my one meal a day. So I was very skinny fat, you can call it. So I lost the weight. And around the same time I lost the weight, I realized that my grandparents also lost a lot of weight. They had a transformation themselves. They both lost a lot of weight. And I asked what they did, and they told me they did keto. So I was interested because they didn't count their calories and they didn't obsess over it. And they just ate until they were full and they ate the right foods. So I did that. I tried it, and I was still obsessed with counting calories at the time. So I switched the macronutrients around. I was still eating way lower than I was supposed to, but I increased the fat, I lowered the carbohydrates, and I finally started adding animal protein. Around the same time, I also started to strength train. Now I'm a personal trainer, and I help people lose the weight that I wanted to lose. But I started to strength train then around 3 years ago. And during keto, I was doing a lot of meat and a lot of vegetables. I felt so much better off meat and veg than eating whatever I wanted one meal a day. I bumped it up to 2 meals a day, and I was satiated. So I ate steak, I ate eggs, I ate fish, and that's what I do today. But I ate a lot of greens, and I did, and I ate a lot of fiber, and my IBS was still prevalent, even though when I upped the fat, my sleep improved, my testosterone improved, my workouts finally got better. I stopped running because I was told that wasn't the way. I should strength train instead. So I started doing that instead of running, and I was worried, but I didn't seem to gain any weight from it. And I did really well on keto. I felt really good. My sleep was finally better. I wasn't having the cravings anymore. That was a big one. I mean, every night when I was losing the weight, doing it the wrong way, I would have these cravings and I had to fight them. Now it's natural. Now I eat until I'm full and I only crave red meat. And it took a while definitely to get to this point, but did keto for a long time. Did it for a long time. And of course, I ran into Joe Rogan, Michaela Peterson, all the big names. And I saw carnivore and I realized, what would happen if I went without vegetables? I was always told that they were good for me. So I tried it for a week. Within 1 week, my IBS completely cured. I never felt as good as I did in the bathroom. Everything was easy. It was smooth. It was simple. I had IBD. And, anybody who has that knows your whole life, you're going 5-6 times a day. It's uncontrollable. I always had to tell the teacher, whatever class I was in, that, if I have to go to the bathroom, like, don't stop me because it's not going to be fun. So, it's amazing how your bowels change on a species appropriate diet. So I've been doing carnivore now for a while. I've had a short period where I've added in fruit and honey to see what would happen. I was very curious to see how my autoimmune would affect with the fruit and honey. And it turns out I had no effect with fruit, except if I had too much skin or seeds of the fruit. Then the IBS would come back. If I also went overboard and I had too many carbohydrates, I would also have all the other symptoms. My dandruff would come back. I would get a few pimples. My IBS would come back with too many carbohydrates. And, it kind of taught me that everyone has a natural set point. But then I just said, screw the carbohydrates in the first place. I experimented with fruit. It went okay. I see how it can be useful. And we can get into that another time too. But, I feel my best on carnivore and I feel my best with just fatty meat and none of the other stuff, not even fruit, because I realized that, I love the idea of fruit over vegetables for sure, but too much sugar of any kind is still inflammatory. And it's something I learned. You can get away with an avocado. Most people can get away with a few berries, but, for me, that led to the next thing and it led to the next thing. And then I was pouring honey over everything. And no, I wasn't feeling as good. I developed plaque in my teeth and I felt sort of like I did when I started my weight loss journey in the beginning. So I've experimented with fruit. Now I'm back to full strict carnivore. I currently do carnivore with no dairy at all. So just using beef fat, and I really lean out this way. I feel really good this way as well. So that's my background. That's my story. That's why I'm here. I'm now a health coach. I'm now a trainer.
You are a health coach and a trainer.
I am. Yes.
And let's see, how old are you?
I'm 21.
21. So you started about 17, 18
yes.
on this journey. And where do you live?
I'm on Long Island, New York.
Long Island. Okay. And you're in college?
I was in college and now I'm doing health coaching and training full time because I originally wanted to go for journalism because I didn't know what I wanted to do, to be honest. And then once I found a passion in health and fitness, I can't find a school that supports fatty red meat. Like, I'm not even kidding. There's no school that I can go to. They're all going to tell me to eat oats, eat grains, eat fiber, and to limit saturated fat. And I can't go to school for that. So,
well, you're 21, already an entrepreneur. You're learned things that aren't taught at school anyway. Right. Seems to me you already are a journalist because you're blogging online. Isn't that a journalist?
I mean, yeah, I'm more than happy with what I do now. I'm so much happier than I would be working under somebody else, knowing that I'm not giving the right advice. So that's the way I think of it.
So the impetus to lose the weight, obviously Kobe died, but were there other things that you said you had IBS, you had some other things going on? Was it just time?
Yeah, I mean the weight loss really was just driven by, I want to start working out. I want to start getting in better shape. I never thought at the time that I could ever see my abs. I didn't think it was possible. Like, I didn't think I was ever going to do that in my whole life. I mean, I was always the heaviest kid in school. I was always the big kid. My whole life, never changed. Obviously had a lot of carbohydrates in my diet, have a lot of inflammatory foods in my diet. And that's what happens over years and years and years. But when I started, I wish I took a different advice. I wish I took a different approach. I wish I strength trained. I wish I didn't run. I wish I started carnivore or somewhere close to carnivore, but I made my way there. And I didn't think I would lose that weight, but it flew off, totally flew off when I made some big changes. But that all came from Kobe Bryant. And what happened was, when he passed away, I realized that no matter how rich or successful or famous or, how much money you have or how well known you are, you can go tomorrow in a crazy accident. So you have to live life to the fullest. And I wasn't doing that at the time. I had some really bad habits, and I've definitely flipped the script on that.
Yeah, it's a one-time life, and there's only one person responsible for how and what happens is yourself. No one else is responsible for that. What are your thoughts about honey and fruit?
So I think for hyperactive athletes, for Olympic athletes, for NBA players, a little bit of preloading of honey and fruit, to about half their body weight in carbohydrates max, that I would say is the max most people can go. I just tend to feel that 99% of people here in America are addicted to sugar. So adding in lots of fruit and honey can still attribute to a sugar addiction.
Isn't honey a plant sugar?
Technically, you can call it, we can't call it an animal product.
Where does it comes from plants, right?
Technically, it would come from plants. Right.
Is it any different than any other sugar from a plant?
Besides its nutrient profile, your body doesn't know the difference. So
what's its nutrient profile?
Just the nutrient density of honey. So you're saying that you can't absorb the nutrients in honey because it's from a plant?
Well, no, it's sugar, right? I mean, we label it differently. There's maple syrup, there's honey, there's cane sugar, there's beet sugar, there's high fructose corn syrup. Does your body know the difference?
Absolutely not. No. That's why I say to limit it, if anything. I have found that athletes have success when they preload some small amount of carbohydrates. However, I'll say to you that 99.9% of people here, not a good idea. Not a good idea to put sugar in their body because they already are addicted.
I don't know if you follow Anthony Chafee at all, but he'll tell you you don't need carbs, you don't need a load, and actually full carnivore, you will be a better athlete. So maybe in the sports world, we're so used to just saying carb load, carb load, carb load, but maybe it's a little bit like caffeine. Yeah. Could it be just another, a caffeinated sugar has some sort of effect on us but it's really not, it's not our energy?
Right. Maybe. It's a short boost. It's a short nothing. And that's what carbohydrates are when you run off them. So no, I understand. I still think there's a time and a place, but I understand what you're saying.
But is it possible we don't run on sugar? That's what I'm always trying to figure out. Well, how do we run on sugar? I was trying to figure that out. I don't know. There's only a conversation back and forth, by the way. I'm always looking for the question. If you can run on fat, why would your body ever require sugar?
It doesn't. It doesn't require sugar.
Why would it ever use it? Why would it use it? Because
if it's not adapted. What I'm saying is most athletes won't take the time to get fat adapted. So that period of 3 to 6 months or whatever it may be, that takes a long time for them, and they can't do that. If they have an off season, yeah, it might be worth it. But for a lot of athletes, they just don't want to take that period.
But maybe that's their addiction and not. I mean, again,
I think so.
It's just an addiction. They're just not able to stop eating sugar because they're addicted to it.
I understand exactly what you're saying. Yeah, it makes sense, 100%. And they're probably being told that it's a good thing as well. So
right, where I think I don't know. I in this look at honey and fruit. Is it different than vegetables?
Ideally, besides the defense chemicals, no.
Well, I always wonder what defense chemicals. I guess maybe honey has some antimicrobial because the honey beehive wants to minimize bacteria and yeast, maybe?
I don't know. All I can tell you is if I have a few pieces of broccoli or asparagus, I'm in the bathroom all day. I get triggered. If I have a few pieces of fruit, I'm totally fine. And that's the only thing I've ever been okay with. So
it's more of a simple sugar, maybe, or maybe there's other chemicals in the broccoli or whatever it is that has an adverse effect. I wonder.
Could possibly be. I don't know. That's just the way that my body reacted to it.
Yeah. Well, so I wonder. Do you think our bodies are different? Do you think our bodies?
99.99% no.
Right. I mean, a cell is a cell. Each cell of our bodies. If I looked at a cell from your body and mine, they couldn't tell who it was, right?
Right.
We're unique and different. So how does your family, your friends, your community think of you being a carnivore?
So my family, obviously my grandparents are keto, so they understood the switch right away. When I convinced them, it was pretty self-explanatory. My mom has now adapted a ketogenic diet. She does very well. My uncle is a cardiologist, and he's pure carnivore. So it's nice to see something like that supporting it. He really helps me out as well. But they are all fans of it. I have no friends that I would ever hang out with that wouldn't be a fan of that. I mean, this is a really amazing way to eat. Once they see that you have an amazing transformation and you look and feel completely different, they can see that energy. So they are almost inspired. And I've had a lot of my friends try this out or just incorporate more red meat in their diet, and they tell me they feel better. I've had friends incorporate organs. They tell me they feel better. So, it's no joke. This way of eating is no joke. And, people support you as long as they can see the difference, I feel. So I didn't have to do any convincing. I didn't have to make my friends try it. They just wanted to try it because they saw my effects.
Do you think that this is a sustainable nutritional plan?
If you eat until you're full, 100%. If you portion, no. So I find that when I have periods where, when I grew up, like, I don't know, a few years ago, all the diet advice you hear is, let's portion control this, let's portion control that. You're going to eat until you're 80% full. And I think that when you come to a way of eating where you are really satiated, you get to eat until you're full, and it's very hard to put on weight. It's impossible to get obese, overweight eating like this. Yeah. So when you come to a free way of eating where you can eat until you're full, I think that's more sustainable even than caloric restriction or, human beings, we're the only ones that have the prefrontal cortex to caloric restrict in the first place. If you look at animals in nature, they always eat until they're full. They always eat their species appropriate diet, and they do it again when they're hungry. And the food doesn't change until you take a dog and from the wild and you domesticate it and you feed it processed sugar, seed oils, then it gets cancer, then it gets diabetes. And that's what happens to us. So it's sustainable. If you eat until you're full and you eat the right foods, absolutely. And the other thing is with the cravings, there's no other way to eliminate your cravings like you can on a carnivore diet. There's just nothing like it. I can have all the sweets in the world sitting in front of me, and I think of it as garbage. I think of it as poison, honestly. That's what I think of it as. I know you think of fruit as poison, but I'm talking cake, cookies, candy, all that stuff can be in front of me, and I wouldn't want to touch it.
Does your body know in your bloodstream the difference from any plant sugar?
No.
It doesn't. So I always say fruit, fiber, vegetables, seeds, nuts, donuts, pasta, bread, your body doesn't know the difference. We've made up this amazing story of what's good and what's bad, but ultimately eat the fatty meat, and that's all you need, and the story is simple. It's almost boring. Do you get bored by this?
No, every day I wake up, first of all, I'm not hungry. My hunger level is just on the floor all day. I can eat whenever I want. I can fast as long as I want. I just have no interest in food. I'm so much more productive in other areas now because I'm not craving stuff. I'm not wanting and need to eat. And then when I do want to eat, it's always a fatty piece of steak with butter or tallow. That's like all I crave all day. Or I'll crave eggs, or I'll crave fish. When you start to eat like this for a long time, your brain almost becomes adapted to what the foods you want to eat, and you have a little circle, and it's great. It's very freeing because you get to eat as much as you'd like of food that tastes delicious, because fat tastes delicious. It's made to taste really good, and there's no sugar in fat, so it just says something.
Well, there's no significant sugar in it.
Right.
So there's sugar and protein in fat, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on organ meats and those sort of things?
I really think that this varies person to person. I notice a big difference when I have raw organs, and I don't notice anything when I take the supplements. I've tried both ways, and I find that in any food and anything in nature, the whole food, piece of product is way better than anything on the shelf. So the whole food wins every time. I feel really good with raw organs. I have them every morning, I have them every day. And I definitely notice a difference. I definitely notice I'm more alert. I definitely notice my workouts have improved with organs. I just feel a little bit better. I don't know exactly how to describe it. I also hear people say that they feel nothing and there's no effect. So I really think it varies by person. I don't think it's a placebo though.
Yeah, well, the hard part about placebo is that it's a placebo to say either way, because the brain is the storyteller. It doesn't matter which side you're on, right?
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Plenty of happy people are vegan, vegetarians, and Mediterraneans, but we know that the diet is the directive over the exercise. Although running, I lost a lot of weight. I used to run 5 to 10 miles. And that was the game changer. If you really wanted to slim down, running was the fastest way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, if you have interest in losing your muscle, you can run 10 miles a day. But other than that, I don't recommend that.
Well, I still did weights. If you run and do weights,
that's hard. That's very
well.
hard.
Resistance work is the thing that's critical. You need to continue to do the weights and the resistance work. Right. I always tell I don't know how much muscle we really lose personally, because ultimately it's our measurement of our muscle mass, because your muscle mass also is full of fat. So as you lean down, your muscles lean down, but your muscle mass is not different. Your bulking, your hypertrophy is different, but a good ribeye steak is marbled with fat, right?
Right.
If you took all the fat out of the muscle, it would be skinnier, right?
Correct.
Does that make sense? So in essence, muscle wasting is one of the last things to go when you have no more fat. And when you have significant diseases like cancer or liver disease and things like that. I'm giving my opinion. Remember, we hear a lot of things that are dogma, even in the keto carnivore world. Right. There's a lot of dogma. Like, again, honey and fruit is good for us.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely I'm still a believer that for athletes, a tablespoon of honey, like super active athletes, I don't think it's horrible. I don't think over time it'll become metabolic stress. I think if you take someone who's addicted and you give them that, it's going to be a huge problem. I think if you take a person who is sedentary, who has no lean muscle, and you give them fruit on top of fruit, it's going to be a problem. So,
but can't an athlete be addicted too?
Absolutely. It's just it really depends. It's so varied by the person. That's what I've seen.
Right, but if we move our muscles, right? I mean, an athlete moves them, and we all move our muscles, right? And I'm always thinking and trying to figure it out, right? And by talking it out, we figure it out, right? And so we always have sugar in our bloodstream, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say it's always 70 if you don't eat, all right? Is like 80, 90, or 100 sugar levels, is it says use it for energy. But 70, it says use fat. I don't know. To me, it's like I need someone your age with your sort of, free brain thinking to, because maybe you're less biased, but we're all biased, aren't we?
What'd you say?
I said you're less biased, yet we're all biased. We're all biased in one way or another, right?
Definitely. I think so.
Had you been on a diet before when you were younger too? When you were in the...
Never.
No, just...
First time.
And you were but you suffered. When did you start suffering with your medical conditions?
Like my IBS?
Yeah.
My whole life, I've always had bathroom issues. I've always been in the bathroom since I can remember. So never was told that diet was a cure. Never was told that. I was told take these pills. So that's what everyone's told, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah,
you've never been shared the why, and does it seem a little remarkable? Have your doctors ever said, "Well, of course that was the problem"?
I don't know, because I haven't been back there to be honest with you. So I'm not sure. I go to the doctor once, a year maybe for blood work, and that's about it. I haven't been sick since I've started this, which is like really remarkable. And that's one of the things I've noticed. When I was on a really high carbohydrate diet, when I was really heavy, I was sick every week. I was missing school every week, and it was actual sickness, and I felt horrible. And that's what happens when the further we diverge from a species appropriate diet.
So what's your goal in this endeavor of personal coaching?
So my goal is eventually to make someone, I've had people with weight loss, and I want to be the reason why people lose weight. I want to be the message and a motivator to why people can lose weight, keep it off, and feel really good. And a lot of people, too many people, come to this way of eating to lose weight, and it's the wrong way. They should come to this way of eating to gain health. And that's something that I want to teach people, because if you gain health, and not health from salads or oats, health from red meat, it's a different kind of health. It's a different kind of feeling, and you will lose weight from that over time. No one gets fat eating protein and fat. There is no one in the world that can do that if they tried, unless it's, protein from beans and fat from, canola oil. But when I'm talking about eggs, meat, fish, butter, tallow, really healthy foods for your body, I want to be the kind of person that motivates people to try this and lose the weight. Because if I had somebody that did it for me, I would owe my whole life to them. So, that's my goal at the end of this.
And what are your thoughts of keto versus carnivore? Do you have any opinions on that?
I think there's only so much that people can get away with. I know some carnivores that do spices. I know some that do seasonings, all this other stuff that are sort of, I don't know, ketovore, you can call it, 10 grams of carbohydrates or less. And I think most people can get away with that, and they don't have inflammation from it. I ultimately think that the change from keto to carnivore is so drastic that I just don't recommend keto. I don't think it's, even necessary. I think once you go full carnivore, you just don't look back. And it's a lot of people in the keto community don't understand that if they got rid of their coffee, they would feel really good. That was a big one for me. And that's what keeps a lot of people stuck in keto, is because they can still have their coffee. They can still have a keto snack. But as soon as you diverge and get to an all real food, all meat diet with no spices, no seasonings, none of it, you just feel unbelievable. You totally change things. It can totally make a difference.
So do you take care of clients that aren't carnivore? Do you sort of transition them? How do you sort of approach your client that wants to lose 50 pounds?
All right. Well, the first thing with weight loss is I don't care about the exercise. I don't think it's as important. I go right to quality of food. I see what kind of food they're putting in their body, because ultimately you can exercise some weight off for the short term, but it's never long term. Never, especially if you're putting poison back into your body after. So, you have to look at the root. You have to look at the diet. So I ask them, what are you eating day to day? And I usually get one or two kinds of people. The first kind of people I get are the people that eat salads and oats and smoothies and fiber, and they think that they're the healthiest person alive, and they wonder why they don't feel good, and they have crashes, and they're not sleeping well, and all this other stuff. And them I send right to keto carnivore, and they do very well. And it's very hard for me to explain to them that the way they're eating is not so healthy. So I have one of those two kinds of people. The other one is somebody who's heavier, who doesn't really care, who enjoys bacon and eggs, and they just want to lose weight. Like, their goal is to lose weight. And them I have to teach, I have to teach both groups to gain health, but then I have to really convince that weight loss is not your goal. You should feel really good, and the weight will come off. And to feel really good naturally, you should try a carnivore diet. I don't think there's, really a client that comes to me that I wouldn't recommend something like carnivore to. There's no other instance where I would ever recommend a plant-filled diet instead of a carnivore diet.
And what do you think is the leading motivation for most of these people, at that moment where they make the change and they do it? What are the things that people are looking for?
I think people are looking for food that tastes good. I think that's a really big one, is because salads don't taste good. Broccoli doesn't taste good. And these things are from nature, and food from nature that tastes really good, you should probably eat it. except, we can argue about fruit all day. But, with someone who wants to lose weight, with someone who's not highly active, no fruit at all. And, how about fat from nature that tastes good? That's a better way to put it. So fat and protein from nature that tastes really good. And I think that is such an easy way to stick to a diet, is to eat the right foods, eat the foods that taste good, and then eat them till you're full. And people stick to it. People love it. It's very rare I see someone diverge from it. I have a few personal training clients as well that just gone carnivore because they saw my page, they wanted to try it. And it's very funny. What happens to them is they'll go a few weeks carnivore. They'll tell me they feel really good. The first week was rough. They took electrolytes. Now they don't need electrolytes anymore. They feel great. And, after that, they will reintroduce something without telling me. And I know they reintroduce something because they missed the session because they're sick. And I hear the same story. Oh, I went out and I had pasta and I was in bed for 3 days. I couldn't wake up and train. I felt horrible. And they diverged from this way of eating. And it's what happens is that you get used to this way of eating and feeling so good that when you reintroduce something that's not so good, you come crawling back to me saying, I wish I just stuck this out for longer. I don't even want that anymore. And they actually build a tolerance to wanting those heavy carbohydrate loaded foods, those inflammatory foods. So that's what tends to happen with people. That's what people tell me. And the further away they go from this, the worse they feel. And the more they stick to this, the better their results are. I've had no clients that have strength trained with me that haven't listened to my dietary advice that did really well. They all did. They were just suckers at the gym. They never got to the root of the problem.
Yeah, the nutritional change that is optimal is meat, and once you get there, and it's such good stuff. So, what is your typical meal in the day, or meals? When do you have it, and what do you eat, and how much?
So, as of right now, I'm doing no dairy. I'll do dairy occasionally on the holidays, and that's about it. 99% of the time, I'm strict carnivore, no dairy, no spices, nothing. So it's going to be, I always started my morning with eggs. But now, as of doing this the last few months, I just haven't been that hungry in the morning. So I will most likely wait until around 12, and I'll eat anywhere from 10 to 15 eggs, and that's my first meal. And I cook it in a lot of beef tallow, and it tastes delicious every time. I never get sick of it. And then usually at night, I will have red meat. So it's red meat and eggs every day. It's chicken, pork, turkey 1 to 2 times a week. It's dairy on the holidays, really. And, fish every few days, I will have some seafood. And that's the way I eat. And I eat generally 2 meals a day. I'm now trying to transition to 1 meal a day. I want to see how I would feel again. And I want to compare it to 3 years ago when I did 1 meal a day, eating whatever I wanted. And I want to make a video and tell people the difference. It's important. So I'm sort of in a transition period, but usually 2 meals a day, always eggs, always red meat.
And butter?
So I don't use butter because when I use butter, I tend to overdo it. I tend to just not feel as good. I can't find raw butter here. So I want the best quality stuff I can get. So I use grass-fed beef tallow, and that's what I cook everything in. And I feel really good. I actually enjoy the taste of tallow a lot more now than butter. If I can find raw butter, yeah, I'll use it. But, it doesn't sit well. It sends me to the bathroom if I have too much of that pasteurized butter. I don't know if the pasteurization process is necessarily what does that, but I don't know. I feel best on beef tallow.
Yeah, a lot of people can't tolerate butter. The butter, there's a little bit of sugar in there, but it's mostly there's some proteins in there. You can't get rid of all of it in there, but switching maybe to some other. But butter, cream, cheeses are more antigenic, causing inflammation, and then the same thing goes with. For some people, eggs are more antigenic.
Right. Yeah, I see it all the time. I see people that can't do egg whites. Very, very common. More common than you think, yeah.
But the egg yolk is really the strengthening food. So let's see. Differences between you and other coaches in the carnivore world?
Difference between me and other coaches. That's an interesting one. Let's see. I mean, I'm very into strength training. I can make a strength training program for someone very quick. I'm super into that. I do it fairly fast. The other thing is I'm also really young. I collaborate with a lot of other coaches. It's very rare for me to see someone as young. I can name the 2 off the top of my head, and that's all. I can name the Carnivore Vitality boys. I can name Joey Schwartz. And that's where it ends. Those are the only people my age in this community. So, and I don't know if they're coaches as well. So
Yeah, right.
I think I'm one of the youngest coaches for sure. So it's they're very different when you have someone that also I've gone through quite a transformation when I was really young. And it's interesting when I have clients come to me and say, oh, you're young, so you have a high metabolism and you can't get fat. And I show them a picture 3 years ago and they shut up. So that's what does it. But I think just my youth separates me a lot. And I think that my strength training really separates me a lot as well. So those are the two biggest factors in my opinion.
And what's your sort of general opinion in the getting more people at your age to see carnivore as a game changer?
Spreading my message on Instagram. I'm not an Instagram guy. I'm not a social media guy, but I have to be in order to live this lifestyle. And it's unfortunate. I wish I could spend less time on my phone. You know, I got rid of other apps. I got rid of Snapchat. I don't really use Facebook a lot. So, but I want to spread my message. And the easiest way to do that with people my age is social media. So I am active on social media. That's the one thing I do that, you know, I probably don't love. I spend a lot of hours on there making content, making videos, trying to promote this lifestyle, trying to show people how amazing I feel, you know, show people my transformation, but my mental transformation, like really elaborate on that because that didn't come until I went full carnivore. So, you know, just spreading my message through social media is by far the easiest way to reach people my age. You know, stuff like TikTok, stuff like Instagram, everyone's on it. Everyone's scrolling all day. So it's about time they saw some content worth scrolling for.
How about alcohol? What's your...
Oh, so on my camera. There we go. I currently do no alcohol. I haven't done alcohol since I was 18. I'm a big believer in just no alcohol at all. I don't do carbohydrates. My friends always ask me, so, you know, they're like, how could you go without alcohol? How could you go without any of this? You're 21. Like on my 21st birthday, I didn't drink at all. I had a few berries. Sorry, Dr. Kiltz. I know it's sugar. I had a few berries and raw whipped cream for my birthday. And I had a steak and what's it called? No, my friends always ask me why I don't drink at all. And I straight up tell them, like, I don't eat any carbohydrates. I don't know if you know how restrictive that is, but alcohol is not an issue. Like, I don't think about alcohol at all. So when you're on a diet that doesn't require any carbohydrates, no way I put alcohol in my body. I'm already not putting enough poison in my body. Why would I add more? So that's just my thought process. I'm not a big partier guy at all. None of that. You know, I'm not in college at the moment. So it's not that hard to go without alcohol in my life. And I've never been addicted to it. So I've had it, you know, when I was younger, but I've never been addicted to it. And I don't see myself ever going back. So.
What is your treat? You mentioned berries.
So
do you have a treat thing?
So when I was doing fruit for the 2 or 3 months that I was doing it, I would have some higher sugar fruit as a treat. And, you know, I didn't feel as good when I did that. You know, the IBS would come back. I told you if I had too much seeds or fiber from any fruit, the IBS would really bother me. And since I've gone without fruit, my treat is dairy for sure. Throughout the holidays, like the Super Bowl, I'm going to make some pork rinds and some sort of dip with dairy. And I'm going to do that. Or, you know, I have a version of my ice cream that's similar to yours that I will make. Like, that's what I had for Christmas. That's what I celebrated with while everybody else had their stuff. I had my carnivore friendly ice cream, which is the raw heavy cream, the egg yolks, you know, the salt, the, you know, all that good stuff. And that was my treat. And it tastes really good to me because the longer you do this, dairy actually gets sweeter and sweeter. So it's almost like a pleasant, like, reward. So that's what I do.
But berries, would you accept a little bit of berries and honey from time to time?
As of right now, I don't see a point of adding it. I don't crave it anymore. I have to say, when I started doing it, I started craving it more and more. And the fruit definitely built up more and more. And it was hard, especially someone like me who had binge eating. Like, you don't get that big without binge eating sugar. So when you come from binge eating and you start piling on fruit, you know, your blood sugar spikes, you get some cravings and you don't stop. You start eating fruit in between meals, you start snacking on it. So yeah, I definitely think it's a problem. And I don't see a need to go back to that. I mean, if I have an avocado, I'm not gonna like kill myself, but what's it called? I just don't crave the stuff anymore. So yeah, that's how I feel about it. I'd rather have dairy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the problem is the majority of sugars are not sweet.
Right.
And so people think they're getting a fruit with less sugar, but it's just less sweet.
Exactly. Right. And I think that somebody can still be addicted to sugar. Like, for example, I'm not a sweets guy. Like, I'm not a big sweets guy, and I still got that big. So it just shows to tell you that all carbohydrates are treated the same way. So if I had rice and I had pasta and I had pizza and bagels, that's the stuff I loved when I was really heavy. I didn't, of course, have had ice cream. I didn't not have ice cream to get to 260 pounds. Like, I had ice cream, but I was a savory guy for sure. And it got me really, really heavy. So it just goes to show that just because something's not sweet doesn't mean it's good for you.
Anything you wanted to ask me?
I wanted to hear your thoughts on organs, actually. I wanted to hear what you think of them. And I also want to hear, I saw a little bit of what you eat in a day, and I wanted to ask, has it changed since you started this lifestyle? So those two questions I had for you.
What was the first one again?
First one is your thoughts on organs.
Oh, organs, yes. So, I do some liver from time to time. I just tried some heart and kidney. It wasn't like, wow, this is great. I don't know. I don't think it's required, but it's one of those things that the liver contains a multitude of vitamins and minerals, but then why would they be in the liver and not in everything else? It's not like maybe they're more there, but meat has, every cell of your body contains all the minerals and vitamins, essentially. The liver does contain a lot of fat. If you get like duck liver, that's the liver's job is to make fat. So I think that's the really best one. So I do a little liver, but I don't think it's necessary. I sell a supplement, an organ meat supplement, a liver supplement, but I tell people that if you eat the organ meats, that's all you need.
Yeah.
Lions do go for the core. And technically, muscle meat is the scavenger meat. They want the fat, they want the omentum, they want the organs. That's what I think they go for first, and then they go for the other parts of the body. So, and then I'm not as rigid because I feel great after years of doing it, and so. Life is risky. Okay, you drive a car?
Yes.
Okay, you could die in a car, right?
Right.
So everything is sort of a risk balance. It's kind of like honey and fruit. Okay, can you eat it from time to time and have no adverse effects? Probably. But if you ate it all the time, most diseases come upon you silently. I call it silently sick. And so you want to minimize the amount and the frequency. So I do my ice cream with a little bit of white sugar in it from time to time, maybe a couple times, 3 times a month, depending. And I do a little bit of French fries from time to time. But the majority of what I do is steak, butter, a little bit of blue cheese, and salt. That's my major daily meal. I don't have breakfast. I don't have lunch. I do a lot of dry aging. Raw steak, and I eat my ribeye dry aged and raw. Also, I do some pork belly.
Is that something that's changed since you started? Did you eventually develop a palate for raw meat?
Yeah, I don't love raw meat in general, but dry aged raw meat, which becomes more like jerky. I like the chewiness. That's what I'll go for, but I do my steak black and blue.
Yeah.
So it's pretty raw inside. It's hot and cold. On the outside hot, inside cold. So I wouldn't say, but raw meat's not required, and I don't think it makes you healthier, in my opinion.
And then my last thing I would have to ask you is, when you do one meal a day now, you've been doing it for a while. Did you start with one meal a day? Did it just happen? Like, did you naturally just want the one meal a day over time?
I think naturally I always was a one meal a day. Mostly, once you start eating, you want to eat more. And that one meal is the most powerful thing you can do, in my opinion. One meal power. And OMAD is like a home run. Now, I say OMAD 1 or 2 snacks because, again, our addictions to change is hard. And so I think, yeah, that's what I love to do is my dinner, like on the weekends, if I'm home or any day I'm home, I might make, eggs and bacon, or I might have a little bit of my steak and something like that. And if I'm doing it live in the morning, sometimes I'll show people the food. I'll have a spoonful of butter, a couple of bites of my dry aged ribeye, but that's my general habit. But I'll sometimes have a cookie, cake, or ice cream because my IBS and stuff has been gone for a long time, and my hemorrhoids are gone. My arthritis, psoriasis, migraines are gone. But if I might have like 2 days in a row, something like that, it's not good. But I almost never do that. I'm pretty strong at this.
How about the protein for one meal a day? Do you feel that with just one big ribeye, you can get all the protein you need?
Well, we focus too much on protein. Protein, you need a lot less than you think. Fat is the fuel and the most important building block of every cell.
Yeah.
And so I don't think we really have a solid answer on that. Because to just eat fat it's not our brain is really like, okay, no. We're so against that. Although if you were starving and there was a gram of fat and a gram of protein, which one is better?
Fat. Of course you want the fat, right? I agree that it's more essential. I agree that you need it more, 100%. There's no question about that. What I've noticed in strength training clients is when they're on carnivore and they're not hungry and they're not eating as much protein as I usually recommend, they still do very well. They still have muscle. They still maintain their muscle. And I think that I could be wrong, but the common recommendations of 1 gram per pound of body weight are for plant-based diets and plant-based foods, because the protein from spinach and almonds are not the same as eggs. So that when you eat animal protein, you can get away with a lot less than 1 gram per pound of body weight. Those are my thoughts.
How much protein is in a plant?
Oh, what you're absorbing, close to none.
Yeah, but how much protein is in a plant? You ever wonder that? Remember, you have to realize that every bit of science you think is right is a story by a company that was marketing something. Every bit of it. All right. Every time I listen to all the really experts in the science, and they're research based. Okay. Why is one scientific paper better than another? Or is one more accurate than another? Or are they all propagating a belief system that I've observed something and I know I'm right? Because that's what scientists are. They must be right, or they must act as if they're right, because otherwise no one's going to publish it.
Right.
But I agree with you. Listen, a bear that hibernates for months and months and months loses fat, no bone, no muscle.
Right.
Okay? And so when you lift a heavy weight and build your muscles, do you build more muscle cells or hypertrophy of your muscles? Hypertrophy. Right. So can you build bulk without building more muscle? Hypertrophy is not more muscle, it's hypertrophy. So a fat cell, are you gaining fat cells when you get fat and losing fat cells when you lose weight? Or is the size of the fat cell changing?
Right. Completely the size.
All right. So again, the amount of protein you need, the majority of protein you eat is converted to fat.
Right.
The majority of sugar you eat is converted to fat. Actually, all of it. Because have you ever heard of the glycobiome or glycobiology or the glycocalyx?
Yeah.
Not the microbiome.
Yeah, no, I think I've heard that term.
Glycobiome, the sugar layer that protects our body. So, that's to me like the most important thing that no one's talking about. in all of this. But, we tell stories to motivate people, right? Focus on protein, fatty protein, how much you need. I tell people I eat about a fistful of food a day. All right. Now, I'm not running in the gym. I do my weights. I do a bike ride and weights every day. I'm about my same weight, and I feel great. I snowboard, I ride, I get up early every day, I go to work every day. My energy's better, but I take 1 to 3 naps a day.
Okay.
So now, do most carnivores run around all day? Or do they rest actually more than you know?
In nature, they definitely rest for sure.
Is it possible that we're working and running around too much and we need to, instead of eating at noon, take a nap at noon?
I think
10 minutes.
I think you do 10. I like that style of it. I think it works really well. I think people can overdo it though.
Well, but again, we're so used to this one way, right? We're used to pushing. Well, once you're tired, what should you do?
You should rest. You should.
Why would any animal say, well, I can't rest, I've got to do what? I mean, ultimately, our doing what is not natural anyway, right? Like,
oh yeah,
definitely
not. No, I mean,
right?
There's a billion ways we've changed from our ancestors in a harmful way. Yeah, definitely. So whatever we're going to do.
So see, I don't focus on getting 8 hours of sleep because I get up early, go to bed early. I too believe in what you do. I don't go carousing. I'm boring. Boring is the best way to the best ever. And a gratitude nap. Like I do meditation and prayer, but I fall asleep for 10 minutes. But I'm just kind of under just a little bit. And then I feel great. And I sometimes do that 2 or 3 times a day. Because I believe, when you were a kid, younger than 5 and 5 or 6 at school, we're running around too much. Rest to reset the synapses of the brain. That's what we need to do more.
I agree. I think there's way too much pressure on people to move and to exercise. And I think people's jobs can ultimately cause many issues. Very, very active jobs out there that just don't get a break. I know people that work construction, they do like 12-hour shifts. Like I would never do that. Never. I think my body is worth more than that to throw it away. For no amount of money, I would do that.
And at the same time, essentially, you had to work in life? You had to find food, shelter, survival, weapons, tools, right? And that did relate, that's work. I think we use the wrong word for work. Work is a negative word, but to me, it's the most positive word ever created in the universe. Because without work, you're worthless.
Definitely. Without doing all those things, like you said, in nature, you would get eliminated.
Yeah. So, look at this story. Again, there are plenty of people that are vegan, vegetarians, Mediterraneans, pescatarians that live a similar life as you and I. They're healthy. They feel great. But the number of people suffering in this world is going up and up and up and up and up and up.
Way more.
Way too much. And the cost of everything's going up and up and up and up. So maybe there's a different drive to all of this. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I think that there's a huge monopoly, and especially if you go into any supermarket and you look around, there's the same 10, 11 companies that do everything. There's the same 10, 11 companies that sponsor all the nutrition schools, that sponsor all the FDA, give them all their advice. It's all under a circle, and unfortunately we're all brainwashed into it. So I agree.
And so we have to be careful about the carnivore world and the health and wellness world in all sides, that we don't get brainwashed, that we stay open to opposite approaches and a discussion of opposite ideas.
That's the best part about the community is we are always open to discussion and conversation and open, like we're careful, but we're open. And I find that a lot of the other communities are closed off and their idea is the best and no one else,
I agree with you. I agree with you.
That's what I see happening. And
I agree. So you're the best.
Brainwashed.
We're all brainwashed. Even in the carnivore world, it's brainwashing.
Yeah.
It's all brainwashing, right? Scrubbing it up. Let's see. So how do people find you, my friend?
Oh, okay. So you can find me on my Instagram, which is @carnivorebmills, BMILLZ, and just search that up. You can find everything there. The link tree is in my bio, and if you can click that, you'll see all of my stuff. You can see my podcast too, or you can search me up on YouTube or Spotify under the Primal Side. And Dr. Kiltz, I'd love to have you on my podcast eventually as well. But I interview a lot of carnivores, a lot of meat-based people, hear all of their stories, very similar to what you do. And you can find me there as well. So my Instagram and my YouTube or Spotify, best places to find me. If you want to reach out to me, definitely Instagram. I'll answer my DMs and all that good stuff.
Awesome. I will be there, by the way. So Jake will help get it organized. And I'd love to do that because the more we share the story of, again, I'm 67 in a month or two, and you're 21. Had I known this at 21, so I think to inspire more people to do this younger and younger and younger.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's the feeling is you just never go back. Once you are this way of eating, you don't think of things the same. So yeah, I really wish more people see this way, and that's why you and I spread the message that we do. So.
All right, Brandon, I look forward to the conversation and the differences and how we communicate in this community really is good. And each person has to find a way that works with them. But at the end of the day, meat makes us masters and plants make us the prey.
100%. And thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks for coming on. All right, take care.